Thank you for joining me. I'm Scott Ryan, and it's less than 24 hours away from Election Day, the day of reckoning. It's hard to believe it's here already, but tomorrow is going to be a very deliberate, monumental day for many of us. We take this very seriously. Not so much, I'm not that as excited about Mitt Romney as I am excited about getting this saboteur out of the office of the presidency. It is serious. Tomorrow I'm going to crank up Phil Collins in the air tonight as I'm driving to the polls to cast my vote. You know, everybody's talking about the comments that this guy made this election, or this weekend. He was saying, don't get mad, vote. That's your best revenge, he says. It's amazing how revealing this guy is. Whenever you turn off the microphone, or he thinks the microphone's turned off, or if he gets off teleprompter, the guy has more Freudian slips than Freud. He really reveals what he is and what he's about. I mean, he's called us, I remember when they were pushing through Obamacare, he was referring on national television to the Tea Party conservatives as terrorists, calling us hijackers. The guy some of the stuff that comes out of his mouth, it is so revealing. Out of the heart, the mouth speaks, and that's why they try to keep him on teleprompter, and it's disgusting. And tomorrow is really a very important day. We're voting for tyranny, slavery, or freedom. It is that simple. They like to complicate it. They like to try to compare economic systems and talk about capitalism and as though it's this complex thing with so many facets to it. It's this very complicated economic system that so few can understand. You have to have your PhD in economics to understand capitalism and how to make it work properly. It's so asinine. People who protest capitalism are protesting freedom. And that's all it really is. It's not complicated. Capitalism is the economic concomitant of freedom. It's the corollary to freedom. It's that simple. People have a right to be free and own private property. People have a right to work as hard as they want or not work as hard as they want. People have a right to work hard, to save, to invest, to grow the fruits of their labor, and to make a better life for themselves. It's that simple, and for their families to provide. And when they do that, when they are allowed, when they're God-given rights to own the fruits of their own labor, to i.e. not be slaves, when that is unabated, that is capitalism. Pretty amazing, isn't it? And that's what we're voting for tomorrow. I know Obama likes to, and the Democrats all like to cater to the fallen angels of our nature and to sow envy and jealousy and discord and strife and convince people in the richest nation in the world who's poor, quote unquote poor, all have satellite dishes outside and they contain Sony PlayStations and Xboxes. I know he likes to tell them how poor they are and compare their plight to that of the Bolsheviks. But it's really not that difficult. Everybody has the opportunity to succeed. And that's why people come to this country with nothing. From all over the world, they still are coming to America. And if they come with nothing, they get jobs and they work and they save and they make a better life for themselves. Anybody can go to college in this age. Anybody can go to college. The money is there. The loans are there. There is no excuse. Anybody can start a business. Anybody can get a job. If they have to get 2 or 3 jobs, they can do it, and they can save, and they can invest, and they can become what they want to become. And they do it all the time. They've been doing it. Immigrants have been doing it for the last 200 plus years, and they are still doing it. But then there are people here in this country who are allowing this Luciferian notion, this despicable lie into their hearts and minds that they are being oppressed, that they are a victim. and that other people owe them. This chip on their shoulder is being, by the pimps and drug dealers of Hollywood, are being told that they can just sit around and be rappers and do drugs and drink and have sex with quote-unquote hoes and quote-unquote bitches, and that's what they're taught. And that they don't need to be married, they don't need to take responsibility, they can just go around having promiscuous sex like jackrabbits and live like vultures off of other people, and there's no consequences. And that their children growing up being raised in houses of 10 kids by, God bless them, a mother who was abandoned by these immoral would-be pimps and rappers, people out there that are being held up in entertainment as heroes of some sort to emulate these people that Obama likes to hang out with, like Jay-Z and all these rappers and these moguls that they're like, the guy that put together BET and these other rap moguls. They're nothing but pimps. They're like the scumbags who, if you look at Alex Haley's Roots in that movie, you will see that African slaves were sold to slave traders by the evil among them in Africa. There were black people selling black people. That's what these rappers are. That's what these rap moguls are. That's what Hollywood is. They are pimps. That's what these parasite politicians are. They are pimps. They are drug dealers. And that is why people who have lived here generation after generation can be given the opportunity to work, can be given opportunity to go to college, and yet will continue to live a life of dependence and addiction because they will continue to believe that lie that is inculcated by Barack Obama and his ilk. Well, tomorrow is a vote. Tomorrow is the opportunity to reject that notion. We know what this guy is. We know that he has rejected and promulgated all the abuses. He has shaken his fist at God. He has attacked the sanctity of life. He is responsible for policies, the most barbaric policies of murdering millions of children, the majority of which are African American, and through Planned Parenthood, who sets himself up in black communities, whose founder, the sole purpose was genocide, eugenics against the African American people. It is an atrocity, and it must be rejected. This man comes to them as an angel of light, as Satan himself is. He doesn't come to people saying, "Hi, I'm the devil. Will you worship me? I'm really cool." No, he comes as the most beautiful angel in heaven. That is his origin, and he comes to steal and destroy, and he comes looking beautiful, and he comes with rhetoric that sounds great, that'll bring chills up and down your leg or your spine. It all sounds good, but if you measure his deeds, his promulgation of atrocities, of murder, his attack on the sanctity of America, everything that the Judeo-Christian God has warned us are abominations. I don't care if your pastor in your church is using the pulpit to advance. I mean, I care if he's using the pulpit to advance his political agenda and to enrich himself, which many, like Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, are. They are anti-Christ charlatans who have abused the Word of God in the church, hidden behind the cross, and lied, and enriched themselves. They are the charlatans. It'd be better for them to tie millstones around their neck and to cast themselves into the sea than to endure, to cause to stumble as they have their flocks. But even that, even if you have been misled, there is no excuse. Tomorrow when you cast your vote, you know you have seen the deeds, and the Holy Spirit convicts you. You know that you are making a stand, like taking the mark of the beast, in a way, not the mark of the beast, but you will know, just like people who take the mark of the beast will know that they are compromising. You are going to have to say to God one day when you stand before Him, you are given a vote. You are given an opportunity to put a stop to this. And you had to make a choice. And you thought your back pocket was in your best interest. Did you? What was more important? Food stamps, which Romney is not taking away, but at face value, if you believe that the entitlement programs are actually in your long-term best interest at face value, if you were deceived by that, you still have to make a choice, God or mammon. Barack Obama is at war with the God of our forefathers. He is against Jesus Christ, plain and simple. He could say whatever he wants, but his deeds cannot be covered up, and he knows that. He depends on rhetoric. He depends on emotion. Emotion will not be an excuse. We are accountable for our votes, and our nation will be held accountable. It's not going to be easy either way. But just like what Barack Obama said this weekend with his revenge, voting out of revenge, that's the ultimate revenge. What is that? The first time around, people knew what they didn't know what they were voting for. The first time around, there were excuses. People heard the rhetoric, and that's all they had to go on because the guy had no track record. They could say, well, I really believed in hope and change, and I was misled. This time around, he has a track record. You know what you are voting for. You are taking a cognizant step, a decision tomorrow when you cast your vote. And when I say God or mammon, Mitt Romney, I'm not excited about him. But I do know that he is for the principles of the Judeo-Christian God. I don't believe in the theology of the Mormon Church, but I do believe that he will stand by what he has campaigned on. But this thing about revenge, it appeals to the fallen angels of our nature. It's quite a contrast from Lincoln, as Obama likes to purport himself as the second coming of Lincoln, who wrote about the better angels of our nature and spoke about them. Barack Obama is the anti-Lincoln. I mean, what he is talking about from the beginning, revenge, calling Republicans and conservatives terrorists, hijackers for not supporting his Obamacare legislation. Tomorrow is a very clear step. We either reject this man or we vote for the first OJ president. And that's what this would be, is the first OJ presidency. Because if you remember, and I equate it to that because if you remember the OJ verdict, it was very clear what sides were for who. But everybody had one thing in common. They knew what they were supporting. If people were happy and cheering that OJ was set free, it wasn't because they thought OJ was innocent. It was sticking it to a justice system that they felt was against them. It was revenge. And there was cheering on one side and consternation and disbelief on another. The only way that you can support Barack Obama is if you are on another planet, from another planet, and you haven't been around the last 4 years, or you are an anarchist and you want revenge, or you are a flat-out communist and you want to destroy this country. Thank you for joining me. I'm Scott Ryan.